on the run down here, but it's so close. No matter what time of day or what time of night, when you go by 22nd Street and you've been here and fished all of your life, even from coming down here with my grandparents was our little kids. Some things just don't change, and I get juiced when I come down there.
Why
So I
not,
so I
man?
show up for the perfect guy when you're juiced. You go on the air with them and everything's good. I'm ready,
I
Phil.
feel the same way about you, Danny. And I'll tell you what, we have got some weather on our hands right now. Man, it's blowing out there on Tanner and Cortez.
That makes it tough.
It does,
That
right?
makes it tough because all that stuff's been on the anchor, right? And it's been good, steady fishing. Yeah, so and the quality, my God, it's excellent. So
Yeah,
just
I
hope
mean,
this lake starts laying down. We'll see what happens.
yeah, it usually starts to lay down in the fall. This guy
Yeah,
was kidding me,
yeah,
Mike,
yeah,
saying, you said the weather is good in the, or no, I think it was somebody else actually. Mike jumped on me too. Darn
yeah,
you, Mike. And
yeah,
it normally will calm down. But some years, man, it
yeah,
just is windy,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But I like the fall. It's usually one of my favorite times to fish. You know, and it's
Jake,
ironically, yeah, in the fall.
yeah.
Once we brought the boat back to 22nd Street, we put the rack on and we'd go north, go fish commercial albacore. I'd let the crew get all their little animosities out and put them on the pole, and make a little money too. So it was fun.
Good
Yeah.
stuff. Jake is joining us. He says, good afternoon, Danny,
All
gentlemen.
right.
I don't know who he's talking to when he says gentlemen. You for sure, but you can leave me out of that. Maybe.
At
Jake, good to
times.
have you
At
here,
times.
man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. So the Grande contacted me today out of H&M, I think they are. Or no, they're out of, where are they out of? I think they are out of H&M.
Are they?
I think so.
I don't even know, and I should know.
Yeah, they're down there, and they were down near the south end of South and had a nice bluefin bite going on. Best one of the year for them on the full day run, leaving in the morning.
Yeah.
Coming back, they had 20 fish, up to 50 pounds. It just erupted like at 10 in the morning, and just as fast as it started, it shut off, and they were in search of yellowtail last time I talked to
Oh my
them.
God. Yeah, but you know what? And come to think of it, I saw a picture, and I could see the Coronados in the background, and they did say, and it was bluefin, and then they had some mix of yellows too. So I mean, God, that's great fishing.
Queen Zena says H&M Landing, our viewers know better than we know.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
pretty pathetic because
It's good, man. We got the best viewers in the world.
Absolutely.
And Jake says, yeah, they're out of H&M. Yeah, I was trying to think because I was down there doing something at H&M, and I remember seeing the Grande there. So good stuff. Scott Buchert is not on board, which explains why they're having such a great day. So, man, nice big bluefin, and
That's unreal. That's great local. I mean, come on, the size of that.
yeah,
To get fish up to 50 locally. I
shoot,
mean, that's
man.
good fishing.
Yeah, you go out on a trip, you leave in the morning, and you come back in the afternoon. I know we're all jaded now, and it's no big deal, but if you look at it historically, it's a big deal.
Yes, it is. That's gentleman fishing. I mean, when I fished the Coronados, it was fishing 10, 12, 15 if they really bit heavy, and it was all those little football sized fish. Maybe if you're lucky, you got one 18 to 20, but most of them were the smaller fish with the choves. And boy, that's you're getting a butte right there. You're getting a shot at some really beautiful fish, fishing that close. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. The
Yeah.
captain said, what do you think he said the key to getting a bite was? Something I repeat over and over again. Choose a good hot bait.
It's
He was
the bait.
screaming
It's
at everybody.
always the bait.
Yeah.
What they have, Deans?
Yeah,
Were they
they're
fishing
Deans.
Yeah, yeah.
30-pound fluoro, Deans, and like a number 4
And I'm going
circle
to tell
hook.
you, recently, for when I'm fishing a heavier crowd and, a more competitive fisherman,
Yeah.
I've been hooking them in the back, and I hardly ever did in the past. Maybe we're spoiled. We'd butt hook them, nose hook them, but I've been pinning them right behind the fin there.
Yeah.
The top fin, and for some reason, I've been pretty hot on them. So I think that has to do with it. So I've been going more and more. My go-to is the back hook now.
So some bluefin down there by South Island, that's good. Hopefully we'll see some more down around Ensenada. They've been having trouble catching any offshore stuff down that way. And as we discussed already, Tanner Cortez, really good. I mean, decent fishing. It's backed off a little bit also. But now I think for the next 24 hours, we're going to be dealing with some wind
Well, you
and
got
weather.
Yeah, you got weather. There's not much we can do about that. Yeah, you just hunker down. But I mean, it's tough on the anchor, especially out there.
Yeah. Sean Morgan, who runs the Wild and Sack, he's normally down there out of Cabo San Lucas. Sometimes he runs another yacht out of Florida. He's up here. He brought the Wild and Sack up, and he caught 10 yellowfin tuna. He caught those fish, he said, out of Dana Point. I thought it was off Dana Point, but he told me exactly where. I'll tell you all in 1 second. If I can remember. Mackie, I hope you remember what I said. I forget the exact direction, but I think it was 6-7 miles southwest of the 267. So sometimes, not far at all. It is off Dana Point, pretty much.
Yeah.
And he had 10 fish. One was like 65 pounds.
Oh, those are nice.
So he sends me a message today. He goes, anybody catch anything since I made that catch? I go, no, nobody caught anything. And he writes, they suck. And so I go, well, you didn't say where it was. So now he tells me, and of course the wind's been blowing on it for a day, so who knows what's going on with it.
Yeah, when they have tails, which means they move.
That's also very true. So he found those fish mixed up with the dolphin, and that's what guys south of the Point Loma have been finding. Not a big bunch, but like 6s, 7s, 2s, 1s. Little inclinations, little maybe harbingers of something to come. We're hoping anyway, right? Because this is the time of the year when we see that.
That's amazing. You got to think, Phil, when I went down in June, it had just started off, all that yellowfin on the inside down below.
Yeah, but you were way down.
We were way down. Yeah.
You were on the angler? Yeah.
On the angler, yeah. And there's only a couple of Royals out there, but we all just, it was unbelievable, and the quality of the fish was phenomenal. And so I think that's, that's probably some of the fish that's just been trickling up, but there seems to be a pretty fair amount of yellowfin, and of course bluefin. I mean, the only one that's missing is the long wing guys.
Yeah, where are those things, man? Up in San Francisco.
I'm sure they're up in San Francisco more, but it's weird. Who knows? I'm not gonna. You can't make predictions on those things. They give you the fin every time.
Hey, I just want to remind everybody that we are continuing our used tackle drive. We are taking all of that tackle down to Cedros Island. You can drop off your used tackle in several different locations: Tackle Express in Santa Clarita, Ventura Sportfishing in obviously Ventura, Eric's Fishing Tackle in Ventura, Hook, Line, and Sinker up there in Santa Barbara, Island Fishing Tackle in Carson, California, and also out there in Bellflower, we've got Young's Fishing Tackle, and finally Big Fish Bait and Tackle. And Mike Crawford is part of our studio audience right now. He's going to go out and shake Danny's hand because a lot of those rods he just brought in, and Mike is going to make his debut on the Friedman Adventures.
Oh, wow.
You can,
what do you see? What do you got there?
I bought him about 15 rods and a friend gave it to me.
Oh, cool. Cool, like old True Lines and stuff like that. I mean, I'm looking at them.
No, they're not quite that good.
Oh, okay.
Mike, thank you. Really appreciate it. All right, Mike Crawford, everybody. We wanted him to be on camera because he was so generous in bringing that down. So good stuff, right, Danny?
Yeah, it'll come to great use down there.
And working with Diego.
Appreciate that.
We're working with Diego Nuno, who's a deckhand on the Royal Star. Today is Diego's birthday.
All right. Happy birthday, Diego.
Mexican Independence Day, man.
Yeah,
so
cool.
Feliz Dia de Independencia, nuestros amigos en Mexico. So, yeah, that's great stuff. And Diego, I don't know if you know this, was born on Cedros.
Oh,
so
no
he's
kidding.
got that connection, real connection there.
I guess.
Yeah,
Holy
right?
smokes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love fishing Cedros. I just miss it, but I understand, it's theirs. The services that they offer are phenomenal for them, and I get it. But I miss fishing because I remember fishing with our boats,
Did you run down there and fish it yourself?
I did. We did.
Oh,
we
man.
did. No, not with the Mustang. We went down with the Cherokee and
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, good stuff. Kim Herbert, who's a fantastic human being. Kim, it's great to see you. Good evening, my friends. We will see an improvement in SoCal fishing when you go to Florida. Geez, thanks, Kim. I take back everything I said about you being an exceptional human being. In fact, hang on a second. Let me get my thesaurus out
there's some
with my profanity.
stink in there.
Yeah. It really picked up when you went to China. I'm going out early October on a 2.5-day trip. Best of luck to you, Kim. The creator of the Joe Miller knot. Joe says hello to Phil and Danny. Let me say something before Danny goes. Joe, you are the man. Thank you for all the hats you send our way.
Yes.
We love you very, very much. Take it away, Danny.
To this day, thanks to Joe, I don't care whether I'm fly fishing, or trout fishing with the bait, 4-pound, 2-pound with my grandkids, or whether I'm fishing down below long range. I have never lost a fish with Joe's knot.
That is
And I got to
awesome.
tell you, I was there when he developed it, and I couldn't wait till we got back into the shop and put it on machines and everything. But I think now, Joe, I've seen some of your last rendition. There's another twist. I have the original, Joe. It's what's etched into my head, and it's never failed me. So, thank God for Joe. Let me tell you, that's a huge part of, your fishing. If you have the confidence, and you know that
Yeah.
that won't break if you tie it right. You have other failures. You saw me straighten out hooks and this and that, but that knot, Joe's knot is just phenomenal. And I could just remember diligently playing in the galley of the Cherokee while it was blowing 50, and we sat in there and he just kept going and going. And then when he got that and we said, wow, that's pretty good. We put it on machines. It was the killer. Yeah.
What was the story when he created the knot? Were
We
you
were
out
at-
on a
We were at
trip? Or?
Guadalupe, and we got blown in. And we were lucky we were at Guadalupe. We had the lee. Tommy was out on the Supreme at the rocks, and it was ugly. It was howling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was howling. But again, probably the greatest thing that came out of it was Joe's
So
knot.
you had a lot of time on your hands?
It was tough fishing. I think I lucked out and got one of the bluefin there on the island while we were out there. But it was not easy. It was not great fishing. It was the weather and everything. But out of that came the best knot ever.
So
Thank you, Joe.
was Joe, like, when you'd go by him in the galley, I assume he's in the galley there tying a knot or something, was he saying, I'm going to come up with a
there
better knot?
diligently the whole time. Well, we couldn't fish. We were
Yeah.
literally blown in.
But was he screwing around, or was he
Oh,
like, no, I'm
no,
going to
no,
get a
no.
good knot here?
He kept playing with it. We'd pull on it, but till we got back in, we couldn't really tell what to do on the machines. When you put them on the, Iser's machine, and then you do the breaking strengths and everything else. But, we knew at the time. All my freshwater bass, my world record, the 1904, all those big bass came on Joe's knot, and that was fishing 10-pound. So it was folks. Confidence in a knot is imperative. You have to have the confidence in that, because that one little facet, as little as it seems, that's the link to your fish. And when you have the confidence, you don't have to worry about that. Then you can worry about this and that. I've straightened out hooks. I've done stuff, other things. And Phil, you remember even on our freedom trip, I straightened out 2 different hooks before I had to go to a 4X, and I was using Joe's knot. So the knot didn't break. The hook straightened before, those 2 different hooks went, So that's a great testimony. And then the other testimony is that's the only knot I use while I bass fish, trout fish, and tuna fish. So it's all around. It's not a singular purpose, knot. It's all around best knot you could have.
All right, where is Joe? He's in Alabama or something. He's in the South somewhere, right?
No. Why am I drawing a blank?
Joe, tell us
Joe,
where
come
you're
on,
at.
Joe.
Where you at? He's
I'm
somewhere in
drawing
the
a blank.
South,
I just
right?
got us.
no?
Yeah, what do
I thought he's like in the deep South, but maybe I'm wrong.
Not deep. I think more Midwest, right, Joe?
Okay, well, Joe,
He'll straighten us out.
come on, Joe, let us know. And Mike Crawford, who brought
Mike,
all
how
these
could I
rods down.
forget?
Mike, if you have a question for Danny, just let me know. Tap me on the shoulder, and I'll hand you a mic. Do you have a question?
No,
Okay,
fine.
if you do, let me know. All right, Q Ball is joining us and saying hi to you, Danny, and the Friedman Adventures family. Always good to see you, Q Ball. Calico, Chris, another great. I hesitate to say he's a nice human being because he's probably going to pile on like Kim and tell me to go fly a kite in China or something. But Chris isn't that way. Chris says, next thing you know, the hooks are going to go by weight rating. There you go. Yeah, I guess he's talking about the weight of the hook because you were
I
making that point.
we've weighed it, but more important than the weight of the hook, you need to the weight of the hook's important, but you got to put it on a scale and see where it'll straighten at what point and how many pounds of pressure it takes
Yeah.
to straighten it out. That's a key thing. Whether it's tempered. There's a lot to that, and you got to do just as much homework on that. And I would surmise that someone like Joe Miller has probably gone through that test too himself, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So that's the type of guys we were around. They're very serious, astute fishermen, and we took every little facet, because when every little facet is covered, that means the only mistakes come out of ourselves. You can only point the finger like, right there. So that's great to know. So it's doing your homework on every part of that. Your the hook, your knot, to the line, to the drags on your reels, and then your rods, and then your technique, but you got to put it all together. Yeah.
Right on. Joe is in Arkansas.
Arkansas. There you
Joe's
go.
in Arkansas.
There you go.
So there you
I
have
don't
it.
know why I drew a blank, Joe. I'm sorry. Yep.
Naughty Boy 78. Had a trip cancel last Tuesday. Did any boats go out there and score last week? Oh, my God. You know what? The days all run together. I can only tell you that when the weather got up, Naughty Boy, it was really windy out there. For most guys, it was unfishable. Maybe a Cadillac could pull it off, but for most guys, it was not fishable on the rough days, and whether that was Tuesday or not, you got me, man. I can't remember. But when it got windy last week, it was snot, 25 plus knots on the bank, and there was a couple guys that would hide out in the cove, Pyramid Cove at San Clemente Island, where you get a break from the weather, and then they'd pop out there when maybe it was 18 knots, and one of those boats was the Poseidon, and he had a tuna that taped out at 290. It ended up weighing 250 something, but he had one big one. But overall, it was, tough conditions. And
That's a nice
it
fish.
gets like that. That's a good one,
Yeah,
right?
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No question about it. Cue Ball says that China flies balloons when they're tuna fishing. I get that. The weather balloon things that were flying over us. And
Oh, yeah.
shoot it down. Do
Yeah.
something.
It keeps them skipping on the surface when it's blowing that hard.
You know what? Here in the United States of America, I get to joke about that. But if I were in China, I would be talking like that. I don't want to end up in some Chinese prison, man.
Yeah.
Watching
Yeah.
my P's and Q's over
Yeah.
there.
Yep.
Especially when you're talking about Taiwan.
Oh,
As a separate country, you better not ever say that, man. That's part of mainland China while you're teaching there, or you're going to have somebody beating your door down saying, what are you teaching these kids?
Yeah.
So,
We forget about that.
crazy stuff. Live free, die free. Hey, how's it going, my friend? Afternoon, Phil and Danny and the Friedman Adventures family. Good to see you. Live free, die free. I know you're headed north to do some fishing, and hopefully we'll be able to follow along with you. Calico Chris is laughing, and Halibut Man Mitchell, who we featured on this morning's morning briefing, fishing with Michael Limon, had really a lot of fun and some good stuff. He says, good afternoon, my friend. So Naughty Boy is back. Any more info about the jig strike? Can you tell us about Bishop Rock? What's that?
What can you tell us about Bishop Rock?
Okay, well, he wasn't anywhere near Bishop Rock. He didn't hit a rock. I've heard all kinds of stuff, but I'm holding off until the investigation is complete, because I've talked to some passengers. I have a fairly good idea, but it would be really irresponsible of me to guess at it, or, I don't know what the expertise of the people that were on the boat that saw what happened is. But I'm starting to get, an idea of what I think happened. And I think it's just wise to wait for the investigation, Danny. What do you think?
I agree too. We could surmise whatever we want, but the determination is going to be left up to investigators.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to tell. So if it was Bishop Rock, like we said, we would know,
Yeah.
and they would have had it probably would have stayed right there. So we'll wait and we'll get the.
You remember when that
analysis.
Navy ship ran into Bishop Rock?
Yeah, that's
Back
a whole
in the
different. That was a whole.
70s,
It wasn't just a Navy ship. It was an aircraft carrier.
Right.
Now
That guy got fired, by the way.
Well, yeah, I would hope so. I would hope so.
He knocked off like 10 feet of the rock or something. He hit it
How
so
could
hard.
you do that? No, how could you do that?
with all the technology.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Sonars.
When was that?
It was a carrier.
When?
God, I can't remember exactly, but I mean, when I heard
It's like back
that-
in the 80s, maybe. Or
yeah, I think
something.
it was. But even then, we're sitting there going, "You got to be kidding me!"
Michael Limon wants to show us all a fish. Michael Limon, walk
a
out.
sand bass? Is that a sand bass? Look at that!
Michael Limon, hold that fish still.
Exotic.
That's it.
You got
Smile. Jump up and down. Yeah, I
you-
love it, Michael. Good
Mike,
job.
you want to make it bigger? Just smack it against Phil's phone right there, and
Yeah,
it'll,
really.
it'll enlarge.
Michael Limon with a sand bass during the show, ladies and gentlemen. Who knows what else? I thought he had a senorita fish there for a second, a rock
no,
wrasse.
that's the real deal. That's a bass.
Yes, I love it. All right, so that's what we know, Naughty Boy. We know a little bit, but we can't talk about it right now, or we shouldn't talk about it. SD Eddie, what's up with the yellowfin tuna this year, Captain Kadota?
You know, all I can say it's phenomenal. You know, we were lucky. We were some of the early guys on them, but man, we were way down. I mean, we ran for 2.5 days. You know, we were 150 miles short of Cabo, basically. And you know, the first day we did a number on the yellows. We moved to the inside, and not even knowing, you know, what size they were. I knew they were decent fish, but I usually start with 40 and 50 when I'm down there. And I'm lucky enough to throw, you know, I said, now just throw 50. I could always lighten up. You know, once you hang a fish on lighter line, you know, you're done till you get it in, right? So I said, well, I'll put it on 50. And I was lucky because those fish were only at 60 to 70 pound grade. And it was a beautiful yellowfin. And the same deal as we filled 1.5 wells, fish holes, you know, that day. It was just phenomenal fishing on that quality fish. It was excellent. And we had some fish in the 30s, 40s, but I overall, the size of the yellowfin, I'm sure that these are the same fish that you guys are seeing up here now, but there must be one tremendous volume of those things that are up this way. And for them to be up this high, you know, that's why us as fishermen and the biologists can't tell you why, to tell you the truth. Otherwise, we'd have these things wired completely. And it's probably good for their sake. Otherwise, we'd wipe them out. You know, between the seiners and everything else, we'd probably wipe them out. So it's probably good that it works out that way.
And SD Eddie, in case you weren't listening earlier in the show, Sean Morgan, a buddy of mine, runs the Wild End Sack. He was a captain here in Southern California for decades, and he looks like it. Let me tell you, man, he's looking bad nowadays. I'm only kidding. So he had 10 fish, like 6-7 miles southwest, I think it was. I forget exactly. I'll look at my notes, and I'll cover it on the morning briefing of the 267. So kind of off Dana Point there. He had 10 fish. Some guys were calling BS on him, like, hey, you know, this is the second time, because he had some yellowfin coming up from down below. He ran a yacht, this same yacht, up from Cabo, and down below Ensenada, he had like 30, 40 fish. So guys were calling BS, but Sean's been a good source of mine. He called me, I've told this story before, but it's worth repeating. Called me from the San Pedro or Long Beach Bay receiver, I can't remember which, at 6:30 in the morning in December, 20-something years ago. And he said, guess what the guy next to me caught? And I was really tired, and I wasn't like, I go, I don't know. And he goes, guess. And I go, I don't care what he got. He goes, guess. I go, a salmon. He goes, a wahoo. And I go, F you. And he goes, I'm telling you, I have video. He sends me the video, and there's a guy standing on the bait receiver with a wahoo on a gaff going back and forth. And this was in the dead of winter. The water temp was high 50s or maybe 60s.
Yeah. Well,
And so when I first got that dope from him, I was like, this is total BS, but it turned out to be true, man. And the guy that caught it actually contacted me and sent me additional photos and video. And so anyway, I trust his info.
No, yeah.
He's a good source.
And you got to remember, it was late in the fall when we got those wahoo at the rigs.
Yeah.
You know, and we had find that. I mean, I would have stayed and sunk the boat with wahoo.
Yeah, right.
Our friend, who was the owner and captain of his boat, and one of my old crew members, one of my old captains, you know, said we have enough. You know, but he, you know, like me, my old school mentality, I would have sunk his boat. You know, especially with biting. I mean, we had 3 of us, 3 rods go off, and I'm looking back and I'm watching them boil, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe we should just put those on first and then go back there. But I guarantee you, I could have fired the iron and nailed one. You know, and we could have nailed more. Even if we stayed around after those fish, well, we should have. You know, we could have filled it. But you know, it was a great experience. We went out the next week. We only got 1. So the moral of the story is, Junior, you get them when they're there. I hope that gets back to you, Junior.
That is so
You
true.
sissy. Yeah.
All right, Tommy Tarr says, and Tommy was admiring the beautiful sunrise this morning as I was down on the beach with a flashlight. I was down there so early this morning. I think the Mustang has changed its name to the Tradition. Was the Mustang Danny's, old boat?
Yeah. Yes, it was. It was originally, you know, like I say, Bob Groman had it, you know, and actually it was made by, who was the guy, that football player, put it together? God, I can't remember, but it was, you know, God, I think it was also made in 64, 65, about the same time the Mustang, the cars started coming out.
Is
But
that
then-
what it was named after? The guy liked Mustang cars or something? Or?
No, I think he played for a football team called the Mustangs at one time. I think it was an LA team or something. I don't know, it was semi-pro or whatever it was. And then Bob Groman bought it, and Taka bought it from Groman. I got it from Taka, you know. So.
Did it change names to the Tradition? Do you know?
Yeah, I did. It
okay.
has. It has. Yeah.
There you are, the Tradition, Danny's old boat. Got to be lucky as heck. Live free, die free. Heading north on the 20th. I'll send you photos and info if we find anything. He's going albacore hunting, so we'll see.
Cool.
He's up way north, though.
Oh, it's going about Conception and out.
Yeah, I think he's
Up to
actually
the
going to
north.
work up to Oregon if he has to, you know. So
Well, you know, it's weird. When we were done in San Diego, we'd come back to 22nd Street, take the stern off, put the rack on, and go up to Morro Bay, Avila. And, you know, we got up to Point Arena was it. But, we wouldn't go any further than, you know, the San Francisco.
Yeah.
You know, we wouldn't go further north because the insurance, we'd have to pay an additional insurance. And we did most of our fishing, you know, in the canyon there from Morro Bay up to San Francisco. So, but that was always the fall, late fall.
yeah, I know a lot of people would walk by your boat and say, "Nice rack." Yeah. Yeah, because you had a nice rack on there.
Yeah,
didn't
it
you?
was.
Yeah,
It was low. Went all the way across the stern. Yeah, it was a fish killing machine.
There you
Yeah,
go. I love it,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
All right, we'll be watching you. Live free, die free. Cue ball stoked that Michael caught a fish. And Halibut Man is devastated that Michael is fishing without him.
Oh.
Michael's a heartbreaker,
well,
Mitchell.
you know, let's pull out the violin. Oh, my, wait, the little one.
Yeah, Mitchell,
Little
come
violin.
on. I think he's
Yeah.
getting ready to break Paulina's heart one of these days. Who knows, man? He may dump her. Who knows? I don't know. I got to go down to Ensenada and kind of cushion the blow for her so she doesn't freak out. Kim Herbert. Hey, Kim, I'm not talking to you anymore. See you later, man. What was your mystery fish on the morning briefing? That mystery fish, I should have announced that this morning. In fact, I had plans to do it, but it slipped my mind, as do many things nowadays. That was a bonefish. That was a bonefish caught in the surf. Calico Chris, I hear they are going after our sand bass next. They say the data shows that the sand bass are not spawning.
You know, we got into this is back in the old 22nd Street days when Russ Heiser was here. Okay, that's how far back it goes. And Russ, I miss him so much because he had no problem. He never pulled any punches with Fish and Game or anything. He would just flat out tell them, "You guys are stupid," you know. And so Russ came to me one time. He says, "Hey, we got to go up to Santa Barbara, up to UC Santa Barbara for a hearing." I go, "For what?" He goes, "Well, they're trying to shut off, you know, the sand bass and cut the regulations and do this and this and this." And I go, "What's the basis of that?" Well, some grad student from UC Santa Barbara, okay, has made the analysis that we have a depletion of sand bass, you know, up in the Channel Islands. I said, "Well, what time of year was that?" He says, "Well, it was in the late fall." I go, "Yeah, well, I hope so, because they're transitory fish. They're migratory." Okay, I can remember going down to San Diego early in June a lot of times before the albacore or whatever. we'd have to go down the line, and there would be just formers of sand bass coming uphill from Mexico, because I think it spawned down at toward Abriojos or one of those places. But it was prolific, the spawn. But it was just a clouds and clouds of sand bass coming up. You'd slide on them, and you'd be in there for a few minutes, and you're done. You'd have your 10 fish limits. It was crazy, and you could see these things going up the line till they got up here, and they'd be at Huntington Flats, off Dana, Huntington Flats, up on the Horseshoe, and they'd go north up toward the Channel Islands. And then at a certain time in the fall, they would head south again, because then, it's time to go back down and go spawn. Well, we go into a hearing, Russ and we were in there, and we questioned biologists. And, we'd talk to the biologist, says, well, how much time do you have on the water? And they go, well, really none. I said, well, that explains it. That explains it. You have no clue that they're migratory fish. And when you're doing your sampling and your analysis, it was late in the fall. They're already back down in Mexico getting ready to spawn. So there are things that from day one, and I got to thank Russ Iser for that fire, and more than fire, common sense and just knowledge, but they never knew that. Now, how could you know that if you're not a fisherman or you don't understand what's going out there and you're not tracking the fish up and down the coast? So that's one thing I really do miss about not having Russ Iser around. He didn't pull any punches with anything. Even when we came out with he came out with this little funny thing called, I think everybody uses it now, it's called Spectra. And we had nothing. And I could tell you all the guys, I'm going to spare them. They're lucky. My memory still got them very fresh in my mind. Some very prolific fishermen said, we'll never use that crap. It cuts through mono. It does this. It does that. Well, guess what? Guess what? That changed our fishing forevermore, that Spectra. And think about it now, guys. Think about it. It even has backing, thinner, like doesn't absorb water, you put it on once and you're good to go. All you have to do is top shot it. But it changed fishing as we know it. No longer are the rods and reels, big internationals thrown over, with 130-pound mono on it because you didn't have the line capacity. It changed everything. And now you can take a smaller reel, spool it with Spectra, top shot it, and bingo, you got something that's going to fly line 10 times better. So the credit needs to go to where it belongs, to Russ Iser. He was a visionary. And as old as he was about a lot of and old school stuff, he still had that mindset to change when he saw something different. And that's what I loved about him. He was willing to not be hard-headed like most of us skippers. We get set in our ways, but he was very, very, he could visualize things and see it right away. And that's why, like with him, I think after George Mayo was the first guy to put on the color scannies of the Westmars, then, George being my partner, we put one on immediately because we wanted to be down in San Diego. And we didn't tell anybody. We were the only two that went down there, with the color scanning sonars. And after that, Russ put one immediately on the first string. I think Brockman put one on the freelance. But, it trickled down. And, you think about it now. Man, if you don't have a sonar, you don't have a scanning sonar, you're not in the game, But he was, as old as he was very quick to change to the new innovations and everything. So, I gave him more credit than anything. He was a phenomenal man. And humanitarian too. I mean, just when they tore down, we had a lot of us older guys remember they had the viaduct here, and when they tore it down, he gave Fish and Game the idea. He said, why don't you put that on a barge and put it out there and make an artificial reef? And they boo-hooed it. So Russ funded that himself. Iser's Reef, right? Think about it. Now you have squid that spawn on it, that reef. So out of this artificial reef, It's its own ecosystem. See, he had the foresight that, not, again, Fish and Game didn't have that foresight. That was Russ. Came out of his pocket. So, I miss him so much, it's not even funny. But yeah, I was blessed to be around him, and I got to we had a radio show for, I think it was 20 something weeks, when we're promoting Spider Wire, which was, some of the first spectras. And I know all the guys that say, we'll never use that stuff. It'll cut through mono, it'll do this, do that. And guess what? Everybody's got it now. So for all the guys, I won't name you to spare you, but Russ was the guy. He really was, so I credit him with a lot,
All right, Calico Chris, I want you to know about these sand bass that Friedman Adventures has invested heavily in this debate about the sand bass. We bought Michael Limon a corn dog and sent him down to the docks. He fished for 30 seconds, and you saw him come up here with a sand bass. So evidence that the sand bass fishery is healthy and there are no problems at all. We have financed this great research, so we're right on top of it. Gary Bush, I think you might know him, Danny. He says, grab your buddy Brad and come fish Pyramid on my boat. You have an invitation to go to Pyramid.
Oh, Brad Kono, yeah. Yeah, I haven't done that. It was funny. I mean, I love fishing stripers, but all those years, those they're nice stripers. There were even some at one point, well, there always were in Castaic, because of course that the water comes from Pyramid down to Castaic to generate the electricity. So they had a sprinkling of stripers in there, and people didn't realize that. And yeah, but I just never specifically focused on stripers. But it is a fun fishery. I've got to fish some good ones, and they're a blast. Yeah.
All right, Jason joins us. He says, hello, guys. Danny is awesome, which he can't really say about Phil. Geez, what's everybody picking on me for, Jason?
Oh, hey, oh my God. Oh, wait, let me get the little violin. Yeah, okay.
Question, is Roy Rose running the Independence? He is not. Last time I heard Jason, he was over on the Spirit of Adventure for a couple of trips. I haven't talked to Roy for a couple weeks or so, so not sure where he is right now. He may be taking a little time off. Not positive. Isaac says, good evening. Good to see you. And he wants to know, Danny, are you still working on your rods? Are they available? Where can we get them?
No, we do have some blanks available. But you know what? Timing was, how timing's everything? Well, timing killed us because we started right at COVID. And I remember trying to unleash them at an ICAST show down in Florida. And right after that, we went down, we placed orders for componentry and everything else, and we got nothing because absolutely zero was coming in, imported in. And we got to remember, we as Americans don't manufacture our own components. All that stuff was coming from China. So we were under, under their control and power. And us little guys, as independents, there's no way we're going to get guides when you got major rod companies that need them, so it just became the nature of it. And then finally just said, well, you know what? Okay, well, forget it. And it's too bad because fishing straight graphite, I still contend, if you're a good fisherman, you understand it, and you know how to pull correctly, you'll put a fish on much quicker. To this day, I still watch guys that don't know how to fish, and I watch them high stick, and they do this. And for them not understanding that as you get up higher and higher, your pressure drops off. You have 1/10 of the pressure up here than you do if you have it down here. When you start conceiving them, when you want to break off a fish, do you pull way back until your rod blows, even if you have a fiberglass rod, or do you point the rod? Which one's going to give you more pressure? It's a straight line, right? And that's why if I hook a bigger fish than, your line size or line capacity to the deckhand to break it off, generally we're doing this, right? You're going to point it right at the bottom, and then you pull straight back. So enough said on that. Keep your angles down low, you put the fish on quicker.
All right, you guys, if you can hear us, let us know. But I think we've lost our picture again. Maybe an internet issue here. A reminder to you all, in 1 hour, we'll be coming to you from Carson, California, from Island Fishing Tqckle, Tackle Shop Confessions. Somebody leave a comment there if you can hear us. At least you can hear us, and we actually are going to have to cut this show a little bit short today just because we've got to get over to Island Fishing Tqckle, and we're going to cut that one short tonight also. Chet Young says, hello
Oh,
from
Chet.
Hawaii. He actually says
Chet.
aloha.
Aloha, Chet.
Chet's a great guy. We love him.
And you talk about, here's another innovator. Started some of those, the travel trips down into Mexico. We went on some of those early ones with Chet where we launched pongas at Cabo, you know, and just had a blast back in those days. And Chet with his, fishing travel, he was one of the first innovators. And, now we got, the Steve Yatomis and guys like that, but, that taking fishing all over the world. But Chet was one of the very first.
All right. Apparently we have audio, so we're like a radio show right now, Danny. But that's okay. You know what the heck? Live free, die free. Expect to
There you go.
change the world of fishing. New electronics today are so much out of this world compared to 20 years ago. Yes, for sure. Ken Tranholm is a great guy. We love you, Ken. Danny, any tricks of the trade you can impart on me for our 2-day trip on the 24th to the 26th. Ken, looking forward to seeing you on the Apollo. What would you tell him if you had to give him one tip?
Just go prepared. You got to bring your whole arsenal because you never know what's going to happen. Particularly when you're going to be fishing at night, so you're going to have heavy gear. Go prepared because that's where you're going to get your trophy fish. But also during the day when they're doing a lot of fly lining, you probably want, even with some of those medium-sized fish, when you get them in the 50 to 70, 80-pound class, you can do them with 30-pound, only because, I use that on the Freedom, that trip with all the captains. But you have to pull hard, use those lower angles. I would, even with my 30-pound, I was using an accurate 500, and it was two-speeded. So as an old guy, you got to use your head more than your muscles. So that button on the side, that's the equalizer. So make sure you have plenty of those.
All right, Gary Bush was talking about Pyramid, Nevada catching cutthroat. Halibut Man says this show would never be the same without Mackie and Danny. Just throwing fuel on the fire. I love it. Good job. And thanks everybody who's letting us know that there is audio and no video. We appreciate that very much. Hit that like button. Join us at 6 o'clock for Tackle Shop Confessions. It would appear that the winds, says Doug Tilk, have shut down Michael Emone's dock bite as well. Yeah, we haven't seen him up here for a while, but we're not going to see him because we have no video. Richie Rich. Maybe the video went out because nobody's hitting the like button. Hit the like button, says Richie Rich. Thank you so very, very much. Hey, Danny, since we're down to audio and since we got to run to Carson, California, it has been a very good show. Steve Bermuda says audio only. You got a face for radio. I think he's talking about me. Steve would never say that about you, but he would about me. I'm going to frickin' get even with all you guys. What's up with this? Danny, great show. A lot of great information.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Covered a lot of the hot fishing.
Yeah.
And what else can I say, man?
Well, how lucky is that? We got to talk to some old fishing friends, Chet Youngs and Joe Millers.
Around the world.
We're very blessed just from that.
Arkansas, Hawaii.
People that were very instrumental in a lot of stuff. Chet with fishing travel around the world and Joe with his knot.
All right, Mitchell says he'll see us in an hour from Sam's Place. Danny, once again, great show. And as always, my friend, it's good to see you.
All right. We'll see you.